Hello, Venkatesh. Can you hear me?
Gabriel, good morning.
Yeah, hello. Hello. Where are you based? It's not quite the morning here. It's the end of
I'm
the
in
afternoon, to
Vancouver.
be honest. Oh yeah, okay, I understand. So yes, it's the morning for you.
Yeah, it
Nice.
is. Yeah. Where are you, Gabriel?
I'm based in France, in the south of France. It's part of my
Nice.
presentation. Yeah, it's a very
Wonderful.
beautiful place and
Wonderful.
a very longevity compliant destination, to be honest, to live in.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
But
Nice to meet you.
Canada is pretty nice also. Hello, Alex. Can you hear us?
Boston.
Oh, he seems
I
to
think
be
he's on
there,
mute. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Hello,
okay.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Nice to meet
absolutely.
you.
Nice to
Hi.
meet you also. That's great.
Hello,
Um,
Alex. Sorry for the
Hello.
background
yeah,
noise on the side. Yeah.
no
No problem.
problem. No problem. And by the way, there is no background noise. Maybe you hear it, but we don't. So I guess
I'm glad.
your mic is doing the right work to select exactly the bandwidth that corresponds to your voice.
You. I'm glad. Hello, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello.
Vancouver is beautiful. I live right by the beach, by Stanley Park, and the entire side here is mountains.
Yeah.
So yeah, helps.
Yeah. I was saying that Canada is a great destination also for longevity and balance between professional and personal life, outdoor
It is.
activities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Alex? Where are you right now?
I'm in Paris.
Oh, okay. I'm in the south of France, and if there were only French people, we could speak French, but there should be like 10 people. I don't know if all of them are
Okay.
going to attend, but yeah, I think we will keep the English language as
No
official for
problem.
this.
I speak English also, so
Okay,
I
okay,
can
that's great.
understand.
That's great. This longevity ecosystem is international, by the way. So there are so few people in every country that you have no choice but gathering people from all over the world if you want to have some critical mass.
Yes, and a lot of the information is like in English, so
Mhm.
it's easier to understand if we talk English.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So maybe maybe you guys could introduce yourselves just to leave like 2 or 3 additional minutes for the people who would like to attend and are a little bit late. And then we shall start it if you're okay with that. And by the way, I have a
Sure.
presentation, so I'm going to introduce myself, but maybe you can start over.
Absolutely. Alex, do you want to go first?
As you want, go first.
Okay, sure. Thank you. You can call me Venki. I have an Indian name which is quite long, so you can call me Venki. I live and work from Vancouver. I have a life sciences technology company which focuses predominantly into deep tech in the life science space. We have a team of 160 in South India, in a city called Bangalore. If any of you have been,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. We've been around for this is our 12th year. We call our technology services company Code Wave. Um, we have a lot of clientele in the entire Schengen, European area, as well as we serve a lot of clients in North America and Canada. Um, we focus on life sciences, but we are industry agnostic. We currently have sustainability tech, clean tech. We are everywhere. Energy to whatnot. But my focus is only inclined towards life sciences because I can see the value add going back into the lives and also the entire medical community. I derive a lot of satisfaction out of it. So I wanted to take my corporation completely towards the life sciences space. We have a few people deployed in the drug researches, molecular modeling, and all that. Again, in the life sciences, my focus is into um, prevention and health oriented, and not entirely towards the Unfortunately, I'll be very candid in this conversation. In the last 10 years of our engagement, integrating a lot of medical devices, building a lot of drugs, helping people, do their molecular modeling and all of it. I've realized this entire industry is more towards, the sick side of, or to make it simple, I would say they're not focused towards solving the root cause, right? It's about how do we deal with symptoms, and okay, do you want to keep the sick people sick, or do you want to cure them? I think the approach is not about curing the needed or the vulnerable patients, but it's about just I have one of my principal advisors who quit from Pfizer, and he's in my panel, Dr. Ved. I in fact have invited him for this talk. I'll bring him for our subsequent calls. He says this very often on our calls. He says a patient cured is a patient lost, meaning
Mm.
when somebody is cured,
Absolutely.
when the cause is cleared, it's business lost. And we are in a very unfortunate situation where predominant research is going into just clearing the symptoms and not about identifying the root cause and then fixing it. So
I'm going
preventive
to talk
health.
about this. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this. It's part of my presentation.
Wonderful. So preventive health is of my interest. And since I also come from South India, we have very well established evidence based Ayurvedic research papers where it is entirely focused on starting with gut health. How is the gut biome the root cause for many
Health
ailments,
conditions,
and
yeah.
yeah, a lot of those conditions. So we are actually building more tools. um, there is a lot of work that can be done in this space. So I'm building the right community, the right team, the right set of doctors and the medical research institutions. I'm bringing them on board, and we are focused on just building the tools necessary for a more holistic approach where a lifestyle of a person is entirely studied, documented, and we can have more evidence-based data coming up in the future. So coming
Yeah.
back to our capabilities, we are very strong with technology integrations. We can integrate hardware. We make fabrics and garments which can be integrated, to identify a patient's vitals, or even a vulnerable person like someone with Alzheimer's. You want to know their whereabouts, their vitals, everything. We build garments. So I also have a large garment establishment back from where I come from. And I also have partnership in Shenzhen, where we build. Uh, do any of you use like a Garmin watch,
Yeah.
Yes.
Look,
like a
I
tracker?
I don't have it, but
Yeah, wonderful. So yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So we build solutions, out of Shenzhen in China, where we can build custom hardwares. For example, somebody with multiple sclerosis, if there is a hardware need for them, we can build custom hardwares for them. So we have electronic capability, we have integration and software engineering capability, plus we also have a very, very strong holistic fraternity of doctors in our team.
okay, okay. Thanks very much for the
nice.
presentations. It's great to meet people all around the world that are motivated by the same outcomes, the same vision. Can
Thank you.
you introduce yourself also, Alex? Just in a couple of words, and we're going to get started. I don't know what happened with the
Yes.
rest of the
Okay.
team. Doesn't
It
matter.
I don't work in the healthcare industry, but I we can say that I'm a longevity enthusiast. I do sports every day. I do intermittent fasting, and I try to eat well and take complements. And but I'm a former engineer. I work in the automotive industry for 6 years, And now I write content on Twitter about how to say about crypto that use artificial intelligence, sorry, and also about a project in DeSci. It's called Rejuve AI, and they want to they are building a longevity app that will use AI to give you personal advice about your health. For example, you will put your blood sample data in the app, and also your sleep score, your nutrition, also other data, for example, with the Garmin watch or other connected devices. And with this data, the app will give you personal advice thanks to the AI.
Yeah,
And
exciting.
that's
Exciting
it.
to see entrepreneurs, transitioning from like the more tech space to healthcare. It's great, and
Yeah,
specifically healthcare, not sick care, which is a small nuance which makes all the difference.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fascinating subject. So yes.
Absolutely. So I see you both are really very much into longevity, and you certainly know more than myself in very specific areas related to research. But my talk today is more about practical aspects and my personal story, how I discovered longevity, and I think it speaks to many people that are entrepreneurs and pretty young and pushing themselves because this is what society right now tells us to do. This is like the success paradigm, and I think it's wrong. And I really would like to give practical insights into what was before and what is right now in my mind when it comes to healthcare and long-term health. So I haven't prepared a PowerPoint, but I'm going to share my screen. I have prepared a mind map, which is like my way of thinking of things.
I use Xmind a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So, and by the way, it's free. Very nice from them to open
exactly.
the older versions, which are less elaborate, but still very, very efficient. So yeah, I have a couple of chapters, let's call them this way. So first is about me, general presentation, then why I'm doing this. I feel that's becoming the mission of my life, purpose of my life to help as many people live healthier and longer. And my life has been divided into two portions. Like I'm 43 right now, so I'm the second part of my life. But I had a certain life before 40, and my life changed significantly after 40. And in what ways with respect to health, my health. And the last portion is my takeaways, something that things that are really important to remember. And then if you guys have any question and answers, I will be more than happy to answer them. So let's dive into it. Sorry. So about me. So I'm 43. I'm married. I have two small children, 3 and 5. Which, by the way, fight a lot. Not very easy to look after them. I live in Aix-en-Provence, south of France. I've lived in Paris for many years. And in 2018, I decided to move towards the south of France with my wife. And it turned out to be one of the best decisions we've made
I understand.
over our lives. We always thought that Paris would be like the center of the world, and I've lived in an ecosystem where becoming an owner of an apartment in the center of Paris was like the absolute success. And when I bought my apartment in Paris, I started living that sort of dream, and it wasn't that much of a dream. And after 2 years, we decided to look for something more authentic and more adapted to our values. And Aix-en-Provence seemed to be like really, really great. Once we got here, we really wondered what the hell we did for so many years in Paris. And so I'm a software engineer and entrepreneur in the tech space, now transitioning to longevity. But yeah, I think there's many people like me, software engineers or in the tech space in general, who are really killing themselves, trying to have the best jobs, trying to push themselves over their limits. And, you know, society pushes us to do this. And I've lived in that world. So that's like some sort of the main things about me. And why I'm doing this is that at 40, I discovered that I was sitting on a ticking time bomb when it comes to my health. And although I had a few symptoms and very shallow symptoms of disease and fatigue, those were very strong signs of my body breaking up. And fortunately, I became aware of this before bad things happened. But it also helped me understand very important things about how the body works and how biology works. And since then, my life mission has become to help as many people as possible live longer and healthier lives. And also, very important, help people wake up before it's too late. So let me get into the details about what my life was before 40 years old. So first of all, I'm a very competitive guy, to be honest. As a child, my parents put a lot of pressure on me. Sorry, let me, okay. And okay. So yeah, as a child, my parents put a lot of pressure on my academic achievements. I had to be like the first at school. I attended mathematics competitions. And you know what? I liked some part of me liked that kind of competition. So it was part of me. And since I was doing pretty well in school, it became, you know, my philosophy of life. So then as a student, I've done competitive studies, again, always pushing myself forward. And again, everyone seemed around me to say, wow, it's great. It's the right way to go, continue. And then as an adult, I created several startups. I became an entrepreneur. And again, it was a very competitive space, especially in the tech space. So in order to support and to bear that kind of competition, I had a certain lifestyle which I thought was healthy. And again, people around me told me that, yeah, it's fine, including doctors, by the way. So I've never smoked. I mean, not regularly. I've taken some cigarettes from time to time, but it was really once a year or whatever. Very little alcohol, no alcohol, say no drugs. So that for me, I thought there were the only conditions to have a healthy lifestyle. And the rest, people told me from time to time, you know, the diet, protection against sun, the rest, sleep, stress, those were fads. You were for weak people, for people, uncompetitive people. And I had some, also in terms of physical activity, I was always pushing myself beyond the limits. That was like my philosophy of life, try to go, you know, do the extra mile. So in terms of physical activity, all the time I was pushing myself, no matter how tired I was or how little sleep I had, always trying to push myself about the limits, beyond the limits. I was always sleeping only a few hours per night. And you know what? It was really interesting because I was, at some point, I remember I was sleeping less and less and wondering what is my limit. Sleeping at 1, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and waking up at 7 a.m. And I thought like I was one of those guys who sleep really little, don't need sleep. And on the short term, there were no serious symptoms. So since it was working and allowing me to do more, to work more, to read more, to do more workout, on the short term, I thought it was great. So, and also I was also permanently alert, always doing something, always, you know, my brain working at 200%. So I had some weak signs of fatigue but I didn't listen to them. For example, and it has been going on all my life because, again, I started becoming competitive and engaging into competitive activities at a young age. So I had eczema. I always have it. I mean, it's a genetic condition, but it's multidimensional. It has a lot of factors. And I had one of the symptoms of eczema was dandruff. And from the social point of view, it was horrible for me and I couldn't cope with it. But nobody told me, I mean, I've seen doctors and they all told me to use expensive products, expensive shampoo. And by the way, it didn't work. I had itches on my body. My face was irritated, the skin on my face very often. And I had a lack of patience and being more or less aggressive, all the time, especially with family members. So yeah, and last but also very important, I had respiratory infections all the time, cold, flu, influenza in a row. And all those symptoms were pretty annoying to me. But at the same time, nobody told me what I could do. Nobody explained to me. It was something like life is like this and other people have it and you have it and you have to live with it. And, it's like this. Just suck it. It's reality. I even remember that there is a French Institute of the Hair in Paris. And the director of that institute told me, I was in a consultation with him, and I told him that I had dandruff and I really wanted to get rid of this. And he told me, he was really honest. He told me, we don't know much about this. What I suggest is that you wear clothes that are white or light colored so that your dandruff is not visible. And I said, okay, if the director of the Institute of Hair in Paris tells me this, is that there is no cure for this. And, the medical community doesn't understand anything about it. So yeah, that was reality. And again, I've lived with this for 40 years. Doctors and medication didn't help, as I told you, and I got used to it as part of my life. And the worst part is that this philosophy of life of pushing oneself beyond the limits seemed to work, at least on the short term. I globally felt well, even though there were some glitches and some inconvenient symptoms. And I was working hard, and it was working well for me. I was successful, so playing hard also. And I was also thinking that I'll sleep when I'm dead. And I was always saying this, and there was a conference from Arnold Schwarzenegger. As you know, he's also sort of personal development guru. And he was saying that if you need to sleep 8 hours per night, well, just sleep faster and you sleep only 6 hours per night. And it sounded really funny to me. And I have really integrated this into my philosophy of life. So yeah, that was, oh, sorry, we have Guillaume is here, who is my business partner and associate. So hello, Guillaume. You're sort of in the middle of it, but it's better later than never. So I'll go on. Yeah. So yeah, that my philosophy of life until 40 was like work hard, play hard, and it seemed to work pretty well for me. So every time I was successful and having a goal and achieving that goal, I was like, wow, this is the way to go. This is working. Let's push even harder. And the stories I was telling myself is if nothing hurts, it means that I'm doing things right and I'm in good health. And by the way, no smoking, no drinking, no drugs, everything is okay. It's good enough. The rest are fats. And my general practitioner didn't tell me anything. By the way, the few times when I was going in consultations, and by the way, I was doing some real estate investment, and for that, you need to do some extensive medical investigations for the insurance. They are looking for like the slightest inconvenience or weakness, they are going to spot it and they are going to increase the insurance policy. So if even those guys didn't find anything, I was like, okay, so definitely I'm in good health. If there was anything, they would have discovered it and they would have priced it at a higher price for the policy, for the insurance, sorry. And the regular physical activity is good enough. If I'm practicing on a regular basis and pushing myself, I don't need to do more. And diet doesn't matter. It's a fad. It's for ladies. It's for fat people, overweight people, whatever. So it wasn't for me. So that was how I lived my life until 40. And again, my single and only purpose and goal was startups, how I would increase revenue, and how I would increase the team, and how I turned that startup into a success. And again, it worked well on that aspect, but my health was going down the road, and I wasn't aware of this. So what happened after 40 is that I sold my last company, and I started paying more attention to my health. And I have discovered a fascinating world of people just like you guys, entrepreneurs who are creating projects in longevity, a scientific community who is discovering, like, genetic reprogramming, self-reprogramming, so many things, regenerative medicine. So it was absolutely fascinating. And I tried to understand what was doable as of today with this science. And there's this strategy so you have 4 late onset chronic diseases. You have cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and metabolic syndrome. It makes 4 categories of diseases. And you discover the limiting factor, and then you act upon it, because that's the limiting factor for yourself, and this is where you're supposed to work and to improve, because the other ones are strong enough. So when your body is going to break up, it's going to break up most likely on that aspect that is the weakest for you. So the strategy was pretty straightforward, very clear. And I said, okay, so I'm going to read, I'm going to, like in biohacking mode, I'm going to understand how things are working, and I'm going to apply them to myself, and it's going to be great. And I had discovered some sort of, I would say, by myself, that I was pre-diabetic, and that was a very, very surprising fact for me. In retrospect, right now, it was evident, and there were some very strong points. Like, my mom has type 2 diabetes. My grandparents had them on both filiations. My mom's and my dad's. I discovered that I had I had a predisposition to metabolic disease after my DNA sequencing. Another aspect that was absolutely surprising for me, you guys may have heard of glycans, and there's a company called GlycanAge, which measures, in short, the overall level of inflammation of your immune system. And my GlycanAge was 72. At that time, I was 42. And it was absolutely surprising, if I had continued like this, I would have had autoimmune diseases and a weak immune system, so higher risk of cancer, for example, even though it's not my limiting factor. My epigenetic age it was 46, and I was 42 at that time. And I was suffering from chronic stress, and so much and for such a long time that I didn't even feel it anymore. So stress is great for precise moments, specific moments where the stress goes up, and then your body prepares for some stressful situation. But when you have chronic stress and your body's always all the time stressed, 1, you don't even feel it anymore, and 2, your body is breaking apart quicker than normal. I have also discovered that I had a predisposition towards neurodegenerative diseases. Again, I have family situations like this. All my grandparents had problems in this field. And I also had an ApoE. So you guys may know this. It's a gene that, depending on the versions you have, are going to increase the risk of having late onset neurodegenerative diseases. So mine is, I have an E3 and an E4. And the ones people who have an E4, they have like, for me, it's times 2 or times 3 higher risk to have neurodegenerative diseases. Could be worse. I could have 2 E4, and in this case, I would have 10 times more chances of having those diseases. But anyway, I have this issue. So I have discovered all those conditions and all those things that were flying under the radar in my body. And because I was feeling great and I was successful in what I was doing, and I wasn't paying attention to the weak signs, I was sitting on a time ticking bomb. So I tried to, once I have understood this, I have tried to fix that alone, but it was too complex. Unless you're a doctor or you really spend years to understand all how your body works, it's almost impossible, even if you know that you have something to work related to your body, you cannot fix that alone. So I ended up hiring a medical doctor and a health coach to help me. Completely different from the general practitioners you can find here and there, because these guys, they really don't understand what preventative medicine is. When you get into their office, they're asking what's hurting. And if nothing hurts, they tell you to get out. They don't understand that the paradigm right now is to be healthy and to stay healthy as long as possible. If you don't have any health condition, they don't know what to do. So I had to find medical doctors with expertise in longevity, in functional medicine. So it was not easy. It was very, very difficult. So things that the doctor helped me with, for example, well, they gave me prescriptions. Sorry. Okay. Blood test, DNA, epigenetic tests, and help me analyze the data with me and for me. And not only did they help me to analyze the data, but they also pointed me towards scientific literature to investigate more, because they really wanted to understand. And this is very important, because most of the times doctors, at least in some portions of the world, France, for example, are going to tell you things, but only what you have to do. And you don't understand the risks. You don't understand the reasons why they ask you to do that. You don't understand the options you have on the table. And you don't understand that medicine is not an exact science. And there is a risk associated with each one, and also side effects associated with each one of the treatments. And you don't make the decision by yourself. You just do what people tell you to. And it sounds really unfair and pretty awkward. So they helped me to understand and to make my own choices. And also they were sort of modest in what they're knowing, so what they knew. And they told me, this is the state of science today. Those are the risks. This is what we don't know. And by the way, your body is different from other people's bodies. So it's not, if something on average works, it doesn't mean it's going to work on you. Or if it doesn't work on average, it doesn't mean it won't work on you. So you have also to be humble and to try different stuff and to measure and to see if it's working. So it was a completely different kind of medicine that I've met with these doctors. And for example, for pre-diabetes, so I had some alerts when I've done my. I mean, those alerts had been there for years. So when you do blood tests, one of the most standard biomarker is the glucose level. And if it's beyond 100, they consider it's healthy. If it's between 100 and 120, they consider it's a pre-diabetes. And above 120, they consider that you have diabetes type 2 and you have serious health issues, so you need medication. But I was like at 98, 99, 95, and nobody told me that I was close to the limit, because in their minds, less than 100 is okay. But between 99 and 101, it's the same. It doesn't change. And it's a problem. So nobody told me until, I had this investigative mindset, and I started looking into it by myself. So what the doctor told me, there are different and many tests and biomarkers that you could look to assess your glucose profile, glucose absorption and management profile. You have the HbA1c. You have continuous glucose monitors that you can put on your arm to measure your glucose in real time. You have the DNA sequencing, which is going to give you some information, some data points about the likelihood of you having diabetes type 2 or pre-diabetes or a sensitivity related to this. It doesn't tell you that you have this disease, but it tells you that you're more likely to have it. You have the oral glucose tolerance test. You have the HOMA-IR. And so it's very complex. And your body being also very complex, from time to time, all those signs are not going to go in the same direction. For example, the OGTT is going to tell you that you have an issue, but the HbA1c will tell you that you don't have one. So it's very complex. It's not something that is really easy to understand, and all the biomarkers tell you the same thing. So a doctor is very helpful to help you dive into this complexity and read those signs and those biomarkers and measurements. So the doctor helped me really a great deal. And by the way, one of them, I had several before I found like the right one. And one of them told me, no, you're in good health. Look at you, you're young, you're practicing sports. No, it's not an issue. But I really wanted to go deeper into this pre-diabetes thing. And I've taken additional tests. And by the way, the same doctor told me, you're lucky that you didn't listen to me and you went further away. So now I really understand, and I really think you have a problem with glucose absorption. So lucky you didn't listen to me, and you've done your homework more than I suggested. So it was really interesting to understand again that there is no absolute truth, and it's not easy to diagnose health conditions, especially when they are not dramatic enough and tragic enough to have strong symptoms, just as myself. And then the health coach. So why is the health coach important? It's because it's helping with implementation. There's a lot of behavioral engineering into this, and longevity today is about habits. It's about some prescriptions. It's about some blood tests and stuff like that. But most importantly, it's about good habits that and recommendations that you're able to turn into consistent habits. And for me, for example, my health coach is helping me with sleep, because I'm so fascinated about what I'm doing that during evenings, I just can't stop working. And like the clock is ticking, and like it's my time, nobody's disturbing, nobody's interrupting me, and I want to go further. And it was very hard for me to stop and really have a normal 7.5 hours sleep. And he helped me with that. Diet also, I didn't know anything about diet. So having recommendations and understanding how things are working, and the 80-20 rules, it's very important. Like, what is really important for you? The health coach is able to help you with practical aspects, and also with turning them into consistent habits. And for physical activity also. So depending on the body and what you're trying to do with it, and what your limiting factors are, you could optimize your physical activity for increasing strength, or improving your cardiovascular system, or improving your bone density, or it's easy to say that it's good to practice regular physical activity, but physical activity is everything and nothing. So you really need to understand what you need to do for yourself, for your own situation. And the health coach helped me also with my stress management, to let go different things that are not important for me, to focus on the important things, to choose my battles, and to accept what can be changed, and not, be so focused on things that are, at the end of the day, not very important. So yeah, this is what I'm doing right now, and the people who are helping me with my longevity, medical doctor and the health coach, and I really think both are very important. What happens with the medical doctor is that the guy, he's not trained, as he's not there to help you turn his recommendation into habits. He's going to give you like a prescription, and most of the time he doesn't respect the 80-20 rule. So you have a long list, to-do list of things, and which looks so long and complex. You just put it away and never think of it again. And the coach is really giving me like the most important things I need to do, and to make sure that I have a process where I implement new stuff like on a regular basis, every day something new. And you know what? Compound effects work just as in the financial sector and investment, in health. Compound interest works, and small things that you do every day and improve make a big difference after a certain while. So at the end of the day, so I had my weak points. My weak points, if you remember those 4 chronic diseases, so mine are neurodegenerative diseases and metabolic syndrome. So I really have to focus on those 2 because those are my limiting factors. So once I have this strategy, I can get into tactics and try different things to improve or preserve as much as possible my health when it comes to those 2 conditions that are the most fragile for me. So what my lifestyle and longevity journey is today, where I'm at. So in terms of sleep, I sleep 7 hours at least, and I'm monitoring with my Garmin watch. It's great. Physical activity. So I have 5 fitness sessions per week of 45 minutes to 1 hour every working day of the week, and then Saturday and Sunday, I'm spending time with family, so I'm not practicing physical activity. From time to time, my kids start to practice this, so it's funny, but I'm not really serious about it during the weekend. But anyway, so yeah, I'm monitoring my VO2 max thanks to my watch also. I mean, it's approximate, but it's still great. Garmin at that time, like a year and a half ago, was one of the only models who were measuring or evaluating the VO2 max. And I also monitor my body composition with DEXA scans every year. So for me, right now, sleep and physical activity are non-negotiable. Like I have a to-do list of hundreds of things I need to do every day. And sleep and physical activity are like on top of the list, and I never compromise those, even if I have other things that are, so to speak, urgent. I don't care. I have find solutions, or I don't do stuff. Sleep and physical activity are non-negotiable. And they're not the last ones on the list. They are the very first ones on top of the list, and they don't move from that place. In terms of diet, so I have completely changed my diet. I have stopped eating sugar altogether. So zero sugar, zero cakes, zero soda. All this kind of stuff is out of my life, out of my diet. I'm eating low carb. Everything that is above 10% of carbs, I avoid it. Maybe 11 or 12, but which means that, for example, rice, I'm not eating rice because it has like 30 or 40% of carbs. I mean, it's my condition. It's not for everyone, but for me, it seems to work pretty well. I take a big glass of water with vinegar, with apple vinegar, which reduces the glucose levels and the glucose spikes when I eat, and it works pretty well. I do intermittent fasting, 16. So I only eat 2 meals per day, which seems to work pretty well also. So the meals, I eat them in a specific order: fibers first, then fat and proteins, and then carbs a little bit. Most of the time, some fruits. I try to avoid processed foods as much as possible, and to eat as much natural food as possible. Even the meat, I want the meat to be a piece of meat. I don't want the meat to be under different forms or mixed or whatever. I want to make sure that it's because sometimes they put glue in the meat and they create the illusion that it's a piece of meat, but it's not. So it's pretty disturbing. And overall, I have a Mediterranean diet. So I'm monitoring my glucose levels using a continuous glucose monitor. It's those kind of things. You can, it's
just
really not
patch it on.
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
we've
great.
integrated one such.
Yeah, that's great. It's life-changing to try different stuff and see how your glucose level evolves. And by the way, it's very interesting. Some of the measures I've tried didn't work. My doctor told me increase your muscle mass, because if you increase your muscle mass, the absorption of the glucose is going to be better, and you can try this. So I've tried it. And what happened, and I also increased my proteins. I was eating like whey isolate. And what happened is that, surprisingly enough, my glucose levels went up, and it worsened the situation. Because on the short term, it could last years, but when you increase your muscle mass, your insulin resistance increases also. And and by the way, 40% of the proteins are turned into glucose. And the results were absolutely catastrophic for me. So if I didn't use CGM to monitor my glucose levels in real time, I would have done something that would have worsened my situation. So the ongoing test I'm working on right now, since I'm working with my medical doctor to measure everything and to make sure that it's not something that I only believe is good, but I also am able to measure the before and after and make sure that it works for me and to what extent it works for me. I'm working on a protocol to take rapamycin and to verify if it's working or not for my glucose level. So I'm also putting up in place a protocol to test berberine and metformin, which are two molecules. One of them is a natural extract of plant berberine, and metformin is one of the most common medications in the whole world to reduce the glucose levels. And I'm also taking a test. I should be taking it anytime soon in the hormonal balance, the different hormones. So you have to pee at specific times. It's pretty precise, and I have to respect the protocol. So I really wanted to be quiet and to not do everything at the same time. So yeah, those are different things that I'm trying right now, and it's wonderful because this science is moving so quickly forward, and things that weren't available today or too expensive in a year or two are going to become affordable. So you'll be able to go further, and then and so on. So it's a permanent, ongoing thing. It's not something that you do it once and you never do it again. There's always new stuff and always new interesting things to test and to measure and to see if it's working for you or not. And yeah, so I'm also doing regular blood tests every 6 months. And I'm adapting my supplements to the to the results of those blood tests, and also monitoring my prediabetes through blood tests. So the results, so that's very interesting. The results of all this lifestyle change that I have done in my life is that the dandruff, one of the most interesting aspects where the dandruff is almost gone. It's not to say that I don't have it anymore completely, but it's like not important. It's not an issue anymore. The respiratory infections rate are quickly, it's going down. So before, I was always coughing, always having a flu. And when I ended one, another one started. It was horrible. Right now, it only happens like once a year or so, and it goes away after a couple of days. So the symptoms are much lighter. I don't have any more irritated skin also on my face. I don't have any more itches. And it's easier to be nice to people, especially with my family, where, kids and stress and pushing you to the boundaries. It was very hard for me to stay calm and in control. Right now, it's much easier. As you may know, another interesting thing, as you may know, so my epigenetic age is 46, and my age right now is 43. So I still am above my chronological age, but my pace of aging is 0.88, which means that the measures that I've taken right now, I mean, what I've done before has taken a toll on my health, but what I'm doing right now is right and is going into the right direction. So every year that passes by, I only age by about 0.88 years. So this is very interesting to do this test every now and then to measure how your lifestyle changes are influencing your the pace of aging. And the glucose levels have gone significantly down. It's not yet completely fixed. It's still a work in progress, but compared to what I had before, it's just great. So my key takeaways is the body is a wonderful machine, and it adapts to practically any situation and any stress. But what it does is that it takes resources from the future and uses them on the short term. So on the short term, you're going to feel like everything is okay. So you're coping with things and you need to push yourself harder. But on the long term, you won't have those resources that have been used right now for the body to cope with that kind of stressful situations that you put on it. And if you act today, what you do today is going to have consequences in decades, and it's going to be irreversible damage. For example, when it comes to prediabetes, today, more than 1/3 of the American population has prediabetes, and it's asymptomatic. People don't know they have it, and there's nothing to tell them that they have it. And it takes from 5 to 10 years until prediabetes turns into type 2 diabetes. And when it happens, it's irreversible. We don't know as of today how to reverse diabetes type 2, but however, if you're pre-diabetic, you can reverse your condition. But if you don't know you have it, you're going straight into the wall at great speed. So what you do today has consequences in decades, and it's an irreversible damage. And by the way, yeah, it's up to you to look at it. And by the way, it happens in the right way, also the wrong way. If you act in a wrong direction today, it's going to have consequences in decades. But if you act in the right direction, it's also going to have consequences in decades in terms of healthy living when you're going to be 60, 70, 80, and so on. Another very important idea to break is if nothing hurts, I'm in good health. It's not true. Your body evolves and things are happening under the radar for decades before you start having symptoms. And when you have symptoms, it's too late. So you really need to go beyond that kind of idea that, oh, okay, I'm well, nothing hurts, I'm in good health. Another complexity is longevity is multidimensional. So because people from time to time, I talk so much about this right now. By the way, it's one of my main and single topics of discussion with my friends. And they tell me, okay, that's fine. I'm taking care of my health. I'm doing physical activity. Okay. Some others are going to tell me, I've seen the doctor. He told me everything is okay. Some of them tell me, yeah, I'm really careful to what I'm eating. But longevity is multidimensional, and taking care of only one aspect is not going to have the effects that you want to. You need to take care of physical activity, of diet, of sleep, of mental health. You need to take some supplements, even some drugs in some situations. And taking care of one thing is just not enough. So in order to cope with that complexity, it's not easy. And you really need to understand what the 80-20 for you. What are the important things that you need to do yourself for your body, knowing that your body is going to be different from somebody else's. You need qualified help because, biology is complex, medicine is complex, your body is complex. And the progress of the science right now is going at a breakneck pace. So there are new papers, new studies. What was known 2 years ago is not valid anymore today. There are new devices. So the 80-20 rule, and everyone on the social networks and in books and in magazines tell you have to do this, you have to do that. So now, right now, you have the DEXA scans, and then you have the full body scans, and then you have the red light therapy, and then you have the VO2 max. So it's really complex. And for some of us, it's going to be important. For some of us, it's just going to be just a waste of time. So the 80-20 rule is not simple to apply in those. You have hyperbaric oxygen therapies. It's crazy. And by the way, since I'm working in this field right now, and I'm looking at this with a lot of attention and focus, there are endless technologies, and you don't even know if they're working or not, or they might be working for some people and not for others. So it's really hard to understand all this complexity until you don't get some qualified help from professional people who understand this, which is really hard to find, especially in countries such as France and so many other countries where preventative medicine just doesn't exist.
Very well said, yeah.
Yeah. So there's an interesting comparison between the financial capital and the health capital. So people who are working in investment understand this pretty well, and they do, the parallel between both types of capital pretty easily, and it's eye-opening for them, and I'm so happy for that. So the compound interest works in financial sector. You put money and then you have plus 7% every year, and compounds interest add, and you end up having times 2, times 3 for 10 years. So it's really working. Well, in health, it also works. Small improvements every day are going to drive massive change in decades. Another idea is that just as you don't start accumulating capital when you need it, you don't start taking care of your health when you have symptoms. You have to take care of your health way before, just as you have to take care of your finances way before your bank account is running out of money. So both are important, financial capital and health capital. So people who, like myself, were only interested and focused on their professional activity and the financial aspect of their lives, I was missing, and we were missing something very important. Health capital is just as important. And if you don't take care of both of them, it's going to bring you nowhere. And again, just as in the financial sector, the health sector is a long-term investment. You do things today, it's going to pay off, in 10, 20 years. I mean, it's going to pay off on a short term in terms of, vitality, energy you have. But most importantly, it's going to pay off in decades from now. And the last most important part is that it's important to see yourself as the CEO of your own health and to really take care of it as if it were your company. Doctors are not gods, and medicine is not an exact science. And your body is like your house or your company, because being an entrepreneur, I really feel things in a special way when it comes to managing companies. If it's your house, or your company, you have providers. You're going to hire them because you have a problem, and you're going to pay for them. And then they're going, in the best case scenario, they're going to, provide that service or that product, and you're going to be happy with it. and then they go away. There is no alignment, long-term alignment of interests. You just hire them for a specific job and they do it and then they go away. And you're the one who is going to take responsibility for your company on the long term. And just just as you manage your company and you hire people, of course, because you need help and they are experts, but you still take care, understand how things are working, understand the priorities, and take care of your own company. And it's not up to them to do it. So in the same way, you have to take care of your health, and you have to consider them, as people who are going to help you in a specific aspect. On the short term, they are going to fix something, but at the end of the day, you're the one who is responsible, you're the one in charge, and you're also the one who is going to suffer the consequences of bad choices. So those are my takeaways. And, that was something that I really felt was important for me to share with you. That being said, if you have any question and answers, I will be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Gabriel. I know we are on top of the hour, so I want to first thank you for setting this up. Thank you for connecting, putting this wonderful draft together. This is perfect. It's truly relevant for what's happening in the world today, and this is future. As next steps, I would love to have a follow-up discussion with you. I'll bring in my medical panel. You can meet them, or please let us know what your vision is forward. So we'll take that as the key takeaways.
That's great. Okay, I'll do that. I'll send you an email, Venk. Thank you very much. And I know time is up, of course. I'm sorry, it should have taken 30 minutes. I'm going to shorten this next time. But yeah, I had so many things to say, and it was hard for me to set things apart and put some priorities and reduce the volume of information.
No, I truly appreciate that. I think these conversations would generally need a 90 minutes.
Yes,
but yeah,
I know. I will adapt this next time.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for this presentation. You have a very interesting story, and it shows that it's important to take control of your health as early as possible, and it's impressive to see that we often know more than doctors, and it shouldn't be like that. So yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you guys again. If you have any questions or you want support or just feedback, or you have like health conditions or recommendations, you're looking for something for doctors or products. I've tried a lot of products, and by the way, I'm always trying new products, so I could give you some feedback about this. And yeah, whatever is important for you, please, related to longevity and preventative medicine, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Okay, thank
Certainly
you.
will. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Rest of your day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.